Oh, yes. What's happening, everybody? It's Friday afternoon. I decided to wait this week to do the Greasy four-legger until after weigh-ins so we wouldn't lose a leg this year. And sure enough, Daniel De Silva does not make weight and has to pull out with a medical issue. So we are left with 13 fights instead of 14 here. But I'm ready to go. I've got all four legs ready, and none of these hopefully will get canceled so that we can actually have a Greasy four-leg parlay this week. I believe we've cashed 2 out of the last 4, but they were both 3-leggers. They were both supposed to be 4-leggers. We lost a leg. They became 3-leggers. We don't care. Cash is cash. But let's try to cash this Greasy 4-legger this week, and I'm going to take you through leg by leg. Please, Dan Murgliata, get some help. This doesn't just benefit you, it benefits everybody that watches MMA. If you go in there and you ref like shit, like you did in the JSP fight, like you did in the main event with Holland and Wonderboy, it makes all of us worse off at the end of the day. So you need to do what you need to do, Dan, and that's get some goddamn help, because it's all available. You got everybody out there talking about mental health now, about how we want people to stop being men and get out there and start crying more and get some fucking help. Well, it's time to get some help, Dan Murgliata. We're all holding you to this. The MMA community as a whole expects you to admit that you need help and go out and get the help that you need. And if you need help crushing these bookies, what you want to do is get that next banner that's scrolling there underneath the screen, and you can join Uncle Weezy's Patreon for $5 a month. Right now, I've got all 14 fights here for next week. So if you were on that Patreon, you could be looking right now at the Cody Brundage versus Mihail Oleksiejczuk fight. You could be looking at the Amir Albazi versus Alessandro Costa fight, beating some of this early line movement by having the stats and the tape study notes in order to be able to stack cash tickets like flapjacks on the last UFC event of the year. So join the Patreon if you haven't already. It's only $5 a month. And if you want access to the prop template that has all of the analytics, that has all of the lines in it, and the combined fighters at finish rates overall and at the UFC level, and then all the metrics for the division, which we have down here, middleweight metrics, fight doesn't go to decision, 55.14, under 2.5, 50.1. And we can compare those benchmarks to the implied probabilities, the lines to the combined fighters under 2.5, under 1.5 rates at the UFC level to figure out which lines are underpriced and therefore provide an opportunity for us to be long-term winners. So check out the Patreon if you haven't already. Let's get Dan Murgliata the help that he needs, and then let's cash this Greasy four-leg parlay, which I'm about to break down for you guys, one leg at a time here. So leg one, I know, the guy's got a horse shit fight IQ. The guy's got a horse shit haircut. The guy appeared in maybe the worst commercial of all time to promote an adult book/video store. I know all of these things. I know. But he's fighting a 35-year-old guy who has done nothing but crush absolute cans. Everybody that TJ Brown lost to at the UFC level would absolutely dick saw Eric Silva. And I really believe that TJ Brown has got the advantage in every aspect of mixed martial arts in this fight. So I'm going to ignore the haircut, you guys. I'm going to ignore that horrible commercial that we all saw him film in Arkansas for that adult video store. All right, we're gonna forget about that. We're gonna forget about the terrible decisions that he's made in fight that has cost us tickets on this man in the past, and we're giving him one more chance to not drop the ball, one more chance to make good decisions in the cage and win fights that you're supposed to win. And I promise you, if this is the leg that breaks this four-legger and all 3 other legs cash, and it's TJ Brown that goes out there and shits the bed, I will bust his balls for the rest of my career as a content creator. I will never stop booing him. I will never stop trashing him. At every opportunity, I will make him pay if he screws us one more time One more bad decision, one more loss, TJ, and I am fucking emptying both barrels on your ass. And we are going to fucking have some fun at your expense. But I don't think we're going to have to do that. TJ's better than this guy everywhere. And I think that he's going to easily win this fight. I feel like he should be minus 150, minus 175, you guys. So that's leg number one. We're going to go with TJ Brown. We're going to ride with this guy one last time. Leg number two is one that I've just loved all week. Now, Alexander Hernandez did look great at weigh-ins. It looks like he might actually be at his best weight class right now. But we've seen Alexander Hernandez finish not once, not twice, but thrice in the second round in the UFC. And Billy Quarantillo is a finisher. This guy puts on an absolute pace. He's tough, but he's got bad striking defense. And Alexander Hernandez has a ton of power early in fights. So with that new weight cut that we've never seen him make before, we don't know how that gas tank is going to look tomorrow. But we do know that Billy Quarantillo just always turns up that pace, always shows up ready to fight, ready to scrap, ready to get into a war and come out the other end with that W. And, I still think he can do that, but I love violence in this spot. Minus 120 for this fight doesn't go to decision is a good look. If we look over here at the prop template for Quarantillo Hernandez at minus 120, we got an implied probability of 54.55%. But we can see that these guys at the UFC level are finishing inside the distance 62.5%. So that gives us a 7.95% edge over the books there. And that these guys are finishing their fights inside the distance at a 19% rate higher than what the featherweights do as a whole in 3-round fights. So even though we're overpaying 11.13% in accordance to the benchmark, we are still underpaying significantly in terms of how these two fighters at the UFC level go to decision and how they finish fights inside the distance in relation to the rest of the division. So those are both analytics that are very much in our favor, and we are making that bet and expecting violence in this great undercard fight. The third leg of this parlay is going to be Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week, the Chris Curtis money line, which I gave you at plus money. Only 2 cards left in the year. Let's have some fun. Let's pick a plus money ass shaving. Let's talk about the stylistic components of this matchup, as both of these guys are strikers. And we just saw Chris Curtis lose on short notice to Jack Hermansson. He had to fly across the pond, make weight on short notice. Hermansson ran from him the whole fight, refused to get into pocket boxing exchanges with him, and was easily able to take care of business in that spot. However, this is not Joaquin Buckley's game. Joaquin Buckley is not a fighter that gets on his bike, skirts around the outside of the cage, and runs from his opponent. It's just not in his nature to do that. He has to get into the pocket. He has to throw kicks. And if he tries to fight Jack Hermansson's fight style, he's going to actually just lose this fight based on lack of activity here, because he's not meant to strike going backwards. He's meant to strike going forwards. And in order to walk forward, he's going to have to get into pocket boxing range, where I believe Chris Curtis is going to be the much more technical, much faster, and the guy that lands those body shots that wind up taking you to a place where in the third round, it's very difficult to win that round against the guy who's light for the division, who doesn't have to move around as much weight and as much muscle mass as Joaquin Buckley will have to. So, and plus, this is a guy, Curtis, who's shown 100% takedown defense in 5 fights at the UFC level. He's successfully stuffed all 32 takedown attempts against. So those people who are fancying that Joaquin Buckley is going to become a wrestler in this spot, I just don't see that being the case either. And the more he tries to wrestle, the more likely he's going to be tired in that last round and eventually get finished potentially. So Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week is Chris Curtis's money line. It's big time plus money, you guys. So let's get this up here on the screen. Money line, TJ Brown, minus 110. Money line, Chris Curtis, plus 145. Right here. Fight doesn't go to decision. For Quarantillo Hernandez. And then leg number 4 is going to be the Magomed Ankalaev money line, which is currently sitting at minus 340. So what the great thing about having that fattest line last is it allows us to be able to hedge out. You know, if we cash the first three legs of this parlay and we go, and then there's going to be a few hours in between that Quarantillo fight, the Curtis fight, and then the Ankalaev fight, we can decide, let's say you have a half unit on this, and then you're due to win 5 units if this thing winds up working out, which means Ankalaev would cash that last line. You can always say to yourself, well, you know what? Instead of that, maybe I'll just put 1 unit on Jan Blachowicz, which will maybe be around plus 300 around fight time. And then what you could do is you could have a half unit on the parlay, 1 unit on Jan Blachowicz at plus 300. And then if Blachowicz winds up blowing up the parlay, you wind up winning 3 units and losing a half, so you win 2.5 units. And then if he doesn't win, and Ankalaev winds up cashing the parlay anyway, you still win the 5 units off of the parlay, and then you just lose that extra unit that you used to hedge. So it will be up 4 units or up 2.5 units. So it's great to be able to hedge out on a nice fat line in leg number 4. And, you know, Ankalaev is a guy that just doesn't make mistakes, everybody. Magomed Ankalaev is absorbing a ridiculously small amount of significant strikes per minute. Ankalaev only absorbs 2.14 significant strikes a minute. He's got 60% striking defense, and he's only been dropped once in 10 UFC fights. In addition to that, he's got 86% takedown defense, and he spends less than 5% of his UFC cage time being controlled. So, you know, Ankalaev, if Blachowicz does want to wrestle, probably stops the takedowns and is able to keep the fight standing. And if he doesn't like how it's going on the feet, he can exploit this 66.67% takedown defense and the fact that this guy's been controlled over 28% of his UFC cage time in order to win minutes on the ground. Ankalaev really doesn't make mistakes, you guys. He'll fight at whatever pace he's comfortable fighting at. He might make it a very boring fight, but there's nothing wrong with cashing bets in boring fashion. Boring is the best way to cash bets. Who needs all the extra excitement? Just get the job done. And that's what Magomed Ankalaev does. So that one is going to be leg number 4. Because it's such a wide money line, it gives us the ability to be able to hedge out of that 4th leg if these first 3 legs do cash. But this thing is checking in at plus 1,009 right now on DraftKings Sportsbook. Is like, I can bring this up here. Yeah, plus 1,009. So that's a good line. We'll take that. A half unit to win 5 units. Let's go. Uncle Weezy's Greasy 4-leg parlay is 3 money lines. TJ Brown money line, Chris Curtis money line, Magomed Ankalaev money line, and then the fight doesn't go to decision for Alexander Hernandez versus Billy Quarantillo. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat here. We got my guy, MMA Propaholic, is in the room saying, let's go. It's about to get greasy. Victor De Jesus saying, oh, yes, let's cash Greasy 4-leggers. Let's get it, man. What did I think about Ilya on the scales? I thought he looked good, man. I just saw it very briefly, but I didn't hear about him having to take the box of shame or anything like that. So if that's all the case, it looks like he did have a good weight cut. He acted like a professional. He made that cut happen. And now he's got a great matchup against Bryce Mitchell, 2 undefeated fighters. Can't wait to see what happens here. But yeah, it's just good to see Ilya make the weight on the first try. And that's got me changing my pick from Bryce Mitchell to Ilya Topuria to win the fight. Antonio Esparza saying, oi, Unc, what's up? I'm happy to Silva missed weight. Now I can't lose money on him anymore. Yeah, you can't. Hashtag get some help, Dan. And Weezy, you're the GOAT. Everyone subbed to this man's Patreon. Nobody puts in as much work as this man. I appreciate that, Brandon. That means a lot, man. And yeah, the next week's stats are out. So, and then I'm going to be rebuilding this database from scratch over the month off to give you guys an even better statistical analysis and really want to start some data science on this so that we can start setting our own lines before the bookies open them and building models in order to predict where these lines open. And when they open one way or another, it gives us an opportunity to smash those lines. So I'm going to be putting in the work during the month off to really improve this product that I give you guys, and try to do my best also to improve the content that I deliver to you guys by having some kind of a visual interface to interact with these stats so that it looks so much prettier than just looking at a spreadsheet. So a lot of work. And MMA Engine saying terrible haircut today. Not surprised. I'm just guessing that you're talking about TJ Brown. I didn't even see him on the scales, but I didn't want to. I knew he was in the Greasy 4-leg parlay, so I didn't want to have to even see that haircut because I had to handicap the fight based on non-haircut information. So let's go. Insane saying, Weezy, do you like TJ Brown over 1.5? Yes, I do. Let's have a look at the line, though, just to make sure that the line isn't crazy. Okay, TJ Brown over 1.5 rounds, sitting around plus 140, plus 150. I'll put plus 140. What? Over 1.5. Okay, I'm sorry. That's minus 170. We'll call it minus 175. So that is already the line that we had. Yeah, the prop template absolutely loves it. Insane. At 63.64%, what's happening here is that we can see that 72% of featherweight fights go over 1.5 rounds. So we got an 8.86% break there. These guys go over 1.5 rounds almost 86% of the time at the UFC level, and that's in 7 fights. So 6 of their 7 fights have went over 1.5 rounds, and these guys are going over 1.5 rounds at a 13% rate higher than what the rest of the division is. So I love the over 1.5 in this spot at minus 175. It's one of the best price lines out there, and the prop template absolutely loves over 1.5, over 2.5, and fight goes to decision for Silva Brown. These are all what we call trifecta bets, where they're underpriced according to the metrics that we have available that I've combed through. So FanDuel has a boost for Patty to win by KO or submission at plus 130. Yeah, I mean, that Patty's an inside the distance guy, and Jared Gordon's a good minute winner. So I kind of feel like if the fight goes the full 15, that favors Gordon. And if the fight finishes inside the distance, it's almost definitely going to be Patty Pimblett fight. So because I think his, the KO or submission at plus 130, I heard it was around minus 110 actually. So I like that. Usually when they're boosting something, it's because they think it's not going to happen though. And maybe they have a lot of exposure on Gordon by decision, but I don't know. I think that Patty's most likely path is to win inside the distance. And if they're going to boost that for you, why not take it? Weezy, I have a straight bet on him. I think I'll join you on that. Okay, let's go, man. Let's roll, dude. But you made TJ Brown your ass shave and he got smoked. Here we go again. Yeah, absolutely. No, you're absolutely right. But I'm going back to the well, my man. I'm going back to the goddamn well. I think this Eric Silva is not UFC level. He's never fought anyone even remotely close to UFC level. And TJ Brown's got almost 25 professional fights. He's younger. He's the way better striker. And he's fought the much better brand of competition. So I'm rolling with him again. And if I get shaved again, then I am going to blame everybody but me. It's everybody's fault but mine if this goes tits up. That's the public service announcement, everybody. It's never Weezy's fault. It's always somebody else's fault. And in this case, it'll be TJ Brown's fault if he doesn't pull this one off. He's got to beat this dude. How many units do you have on your boy Brown? I don't have any units on my boy Brown in terms of straight bets here, you guys. I'm not betting. I'm not straight betting that money line. This is a parlay bet. It's a parlay. It's an untracked thing, and that is what it's going to be. A half unit at plus 1,000, whatever, is what I'm putting on this. Home Wreck and Knee Knocker saying, why is Silva a decent favorite if TJ is better everywhere? Probably a little bit of recency bias, Home Wreck and Knee Knocker. Silva's a decent, well, Silva's not really a favorite. He's about a coin flip right now. But yeah, dude, he looked, it's the recency bias because you look good when you're fighting garbage competition like he did on the Contender Series, while TJ Brown is out there against Shai Yalan, against Dan Chavez, against Jordan Griffin, against a bunch of guys that are UFC level, Kai Kamaka. He fought all these guys. All these guys are way better than anybody that Eric Silva has faced. So, I believe that the TJ Brown money line is a big, big bargain, and that's why I'm putting it in there. And we got this thing to plus 1,000. So that's why it's a little bit fatter than normal. And we've got one really wide line, but I like the plus money on Curtis, and I like the even money on TJ Brown. Brandon M, going to be at this UFC, Uncle. Going to follow you big on this one. Let's cash this. Let's go, man. Let's hit this one, Brandon, and enjoy the fights. I'm sure you're going to have a great time checking that out in Vegas, man. And J772012 saying Silva has a lot of power. When he touches people, they go to sleep. Probably why he's a favorite here. Okay. He might have a lot of power in the stand-up. That's definitely possible. But I just, I haven't seen him flash that power against anybody, that's not an 0-0 guy. So it doesn't mean anything to me right now. MMA Propaholic saying, I just sprinkled Curtis round 2 plus 950 and round 3 plus 1,300. I like that, man. I like that a lot. Adam Rush saying, oh, yes, time to get greasy. Let's go. We got Bob Builder saying, I hit a plus 57,000. Wow, only had $1 on it, though. Yeah, man, but turn $1 into 570, and that's a damn good week, Bob Builder. Way to go, dude. Big ups on cashing that, man. MMA Kasangani saying, for the record, Hernandez has traded wins losses since 2018. Yes, he has. Yes, he has. And Insane saying, Weezy, do you like TJ Brown over 1.5? Can you please show the stats for that one? I absolutely already did that. And yes, I love it, dude. I absolutely love the TJ Brown over 1.5. Victor De Jesus saying, this greasy four-legger came up to a plus 1,009 in DraftKings, plus 999 on FanDuel. And if you have access to Bet MGM, it's at a plus 1,130. Dude, thanks for doing the research, Vic. So if you have Bet MGM, bet it there because they're going to give you the fattest odds, man. I know you have Billy Q and Alex not to go. OBV Rosenstreich won't go distance. What else you think? So I've got 2.15 units on the under 1.5 rounds for Rosenstreich Dawkins. I think what's interesting about that one, you guys, is that 75% of their combined UFC fights have went under 1.5 rounds. So at minus 150, it's overpriced by 16.5%. But we could see it's underpriced by 15% here when we compare that 60% implied probability to the fighter under 1.5 rates at the UFC level. 12 of their 16 fights have went under 1.5 rounds combined. So that's 75%, and we're still only paying 60%. And these guys are going under 1.5 rounds at a 31.5% rate, higher than what the division does as a whole in 3-round fights. In addition to that, let's just go a little bit deeper into the stats here about that under 1.5, because I think it's a very good bet. And here's why. I'm going to skip over Jairzinho. Every single one of these fights has went under 1.5 rounds here. 450 seconds is under 1.5 rounds. So every Dawkins fight went under 1.5. Now, we've got this fight here hasn't, this fight, and this fight. 4 of Rosenstreich's fights have went over 1.5 rounds. And there's something here. So let's look. It's the Blades fight. It's the Gane fight. It's the Overeem fight. And it's the Junior Dos Santos fight. Oh, God, undo. God damn it. Okay. And then if we go over here to the other side, we could see the takedown attempts, right? 6, 14, 0, and 10. So in the fights where somebody grappled Rosenstreich, 3 of those 4 fights went over 1.5. They all went over 1.5. But the common denominator is in fights where Jairzinho Rosenstreich isn't grappled at, right? Those fights finish under 1.5. And 3 of the 4 where he is grappled, go over. So it's almost as if all 6 of Dawkins's fights, and then we've got 10 fights for Rosenstreich. 5 of those 6 fights where he wasn't grappled went under 1.5. So it's like we got an 11 of 12 number there. So I love that under 1.5 for Dawkins, Rosenstrike. And Insane saying, oh, thanks, Weezy. You got it, brother. That's what I'm here to do. I'm here to give you guys the stats. Bob Builder saying I got plus 110 for Patty to finish within the distance. Yeah, so plus 130 is a good little price boost there. And yeah, I feel you, man. There you go, man. I hear you. The Silva fight is canceled. Yes, sir, it is. Not our fault. It's everyone else's. Thank you, home wreck and knee knocker. That's the way we go through life. We never accept fault. No, actually, the way you actually do go through life is admit when you're wrong, grow from your mistakes, admit when you made them, find out why you made them. Don't make the same mistake again. So I'm joking when I say everybody's fault but mine. But that is gambling at the end of the day. We get our read, we have our analytics, we do our research, but at the end of the day, it's up to somebody else to cash the bet. How do I think the Ponzinibbio for Morano matchup should be close? Yeah, I think it is going to be close, but I'm not touching that fight. Short notice for Morano. Don't really know where Santiago's at. Yeah, De Silva canceled. Yes, sir. Got to keep it greasy so it goes down easy. That is Frank Zappa who told us that. I appreciate that, Silky B. Good line there. Yeah, I just got word too. De Silva, all my shit is void now. Yeah, man. Everybody was on that. Everybody was on that under 1.5. So listen, guys, I got to go. I've went too long here. I'm going to go check out over on the MMA Engine YouTube channel right now. My guys, Monk and Lou, are doing the happy hour. So I'm going to go check that out. I appreciate all you guys tuning in. How many of you we got in here right now? 31 hanging out. I appreciate you guys. Hey, hit that thumbs up on your way out. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And let's all stack cash tickets like flapjacks for UFC 282. Let's cash this greasy 4-leg parlay and coast into that last event of the year on a nice winning streak, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you guys next week.